Yo, what's good everybody, it's your boy Malcolm and I'm back for another video, and in today's video we are going to be giving a review on the season 2 of Invincible. Let's get into it. But before we do that, make sure you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It will help me out a ton. I told y'all by the end of April I want to be a YouTube partner. I'm going to be uploading way more. I'm going to be doing higher quality content. I'm just going to be going absolutely crazy on YouTube. I have an idea. I'm not going to tell y'all what it is yet, but I do have an idea for a new content series. But I'm telling y'all all April, I'm going crazy because by the end, I want to be a YouTube partner. So please hit that sub button. All right, I just watched the final episode for Invincible Season 2, and my oh my, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. But before I get into this Invincible Season 2 review, let's address the elephant in the room. Do I feel like the gap that happened in between part 1 of Season 2 and part 2 of season 2, do I feel like that killed the hype? We've all been talking about it. Everybody's seen the whole internet, blah, blah, blah. Has that killed the hype? I'm going to say yes and no. Now, the reason I'm going to say no is a lot of people still flocked back to the episode and it was like nothing ever happened. The second half was so good that I still saw plenty of people talking about it. I saw a lot of people, having conversations, making videos, doing this, doing that. Like season 2 of Invincible was still very big even after that huge hiatus. However, I do feel like part of the hype was killed because I have a lot of friends personally who still have not started the second half of season 2 strictly because they were like, either they didn't know that it came out or they knew that it came out and they were just going to wait to binge the whole thing, or they just started reading the comics, which none of those options are bad. Like, it's perfectly fine if you decide you want to read the comics or binge it or wait. That's all good and dandy. I think the term is fine and dandy. That's all fine and dandy. But I do think that that big hiatus was a huge part of it. A lot of people don't like to wait for things. So when you do a hiatus, yes, some people are going to go read the comics. Some people are going to just wait so that way they can binge the whole thing instead of having to wait weekly. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different reasons why that can happen. So I do think that did kill the hype a certain extent. It did a little bit. I hate to admit it, but it did. Honestly, the only reason I even knew part 2 of season 2 was back was because my Discord server was telling me that it was back and that we need to review it on the podcast. If not for that, I probably wouldn't have even known that it came back out and I wouldn't have watched it. So yeah, the hype definitely did die down to an extent, but it didn't kill the show. It was still busting. Let's talk about it. All right, so we got a couple major points that we have to talk about when we're talking about this second half of the Invincible season. First and foremost, I want to talk about Mark and Amber. Now, if you've watched my podcast, you have seen that I said that Mark and Amber desperately need to break up. Now, I actually said that for a different reason than a lot of the internet. A lot of the internet wanted them to break up because they just don't like Amber. They think Amber sucks and Mark can do better. He should be with Adam Eve, blah, 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 all that. Personally, I think they needed to break up because Mark is a horrible boyfriend. I said that on my podcast. I think Mark is dog shit as a boyfriend. Look, I get it. Mark is a superhero. Mark has crazy responsibilities. He has to be gone for long periods of time. There's so many reasons why he can't be there, and that's cool. That's cool. But when you're there, you do have to be present and you have to be a good boyfriend to a certain extent. He came back and I know he went through a lot. He did. He came back. He told Amber, I met my dad out there. I had to drop off a new baby with my mom. This happened, this happened, this happened. I'm feeling this way. Amber sat there. She listened to the whole thing. She talked to him about it. And then Amber goes, yeah, things have been hard for me here too. My grades have been slipping in school. My granddad died. And Mark goes, fuck, I didn't know my dad would fuck up my life this bad. How about you ask her how she's doing? Ask her if she's okay. Mark consistently makes everything about him. And look, in the grand scheme of things, yes, Mark's life is probably worth more than Amber's. But when you're in a relationship, that doesn't fucking matter. You still have to be a good boyfriend to Amber no matter what, if that's what you're going to do. And I do feel like they needed to break up for that reason. I actually think Amber's a pretty good girlfriend in season 2. In season 1, no. But in season 2, Amber was very understanding. She was very supportive. She was cool with everything that was going on. You know what I'm saying? She was going through a lot of shit, but she was putting all that on the back burner to make sure Mark was good, and Mark was doing absolutely nothing to make sure that Amber was good, and I thought that they needed to break up for it. But for some reason, when I said that on my podcast, all the listeners, my co-hosts, everybody was like,
Mark's not a bad boyfriend. They're both bad. This, that, blah, blah, blah.
And then literally in the next episode, Mark admits that he's been being a bad boyfriend, and all y'all silent now. Where are all the haters at now? But yeah, honestly, I am glad that Mark and Amber broke up. Not because I dislike them together. Honestly, I would kind of like it if at some point they could reconcile and be friends and still kicking and stuff, because I do like their dynamic to a certain extent. I just don't think that Mark can be in a relationship with Amber right now, or even with anyone. Like, even if he went and got in a relationship with Adam Eve, I don't know how well that would go. A lot of people think that Mark should be with Adam Eve because she's a superhero, so that way they can do super things together and they can be a part of each other's world because they'll understand things more. But I actually feel like that could cause a lot of issues. If you look at Rudy and Monster Girl, you can see that there's a lot of problems that come with being on the battlefield together. If Adam Eve is on that field, all he's going to be thinking about is she okay? What can I do to make sure she's okay? Like, he will jeopardize the mission. We saw what happened at the end of this season where his loved ones were in jeopardy and he turned into a whole different person. That could very well happen with Adam Eve. The same shit that happened when, I think her name is Andisa, pulled up and took Amber, grabbed her by the neck and was like, hey, come with me or I'm gonna fuck her up. That same shit can happen with Adam Eve. Adam Eve is stronger than Amber, but a Viltrumite will still fuck her up pretty bad. So personally, I don't think that Mark need to be in a relationship at all. I think Mark need to just focus on himself, focus on training, focus on these damn Viltrumites, focus on, you know what I'm saying, making sure his mom and brother are good. But I don't think Mark needs a relationship right now. I think Mark need to just focus on him and get Invincible right. All right, I think the next major thing I want to talk about when we talk about the second half of season 2 is my boy Donald. We found out that my boy, well, we already knew. Donald found out that he was an android and that Cecil has been erasing his memories because he's been asking him to. Donald didn't want to live with that stress of knowing that he's an android and have to live with all the trauma of the, I think he said 27 times that it might even been more than that. All the times that he died, he didn't want to live with that. And thankfully, he met, well, I don't know if I would say thankfully, but Donald met up with William's boyfriend, or I don't know what their relationship is, but his experiences and all that trauma he has had erased over and over again actually came in handy because he was able to use those experiences to relate to somebody else, and overall it's going to become a good thing down the line. So I think Donald is going to hold those experiences. He's going to deal with that. And I think he also has had his trust reinstated in Cecil, because before he wasn't really fucking with Cecil. When he found out he was an android, he thought Cecil lied to him. He thought everything had gone wrong. Everything was fucked up and they did him dirty. That's not the case. It was actually Donald that asked for that. Donald wanted to get his memories erased, and Donald wanted all these things to happen. So I like that Donald and Cecil's relationship is now reinstated. And speaking of Cecil, I do want to say that I don't think Cecil is as bad of a guy as people make him out to be. Yes, Cecil will do anything to make sure that the planet is safe. And sometimes that anything does include bad things. But that's his fucking job. At the end of the day, Cecil's job is to save people. Cecil's job is to keep the world in check. So if that means that every once in a while he has to tell a lie or deceive somebody or do something wrong, that's fine. That's what it takes. If Cecil wasn't making some of these hard decisions, our world would be up in flames. So I'm fine with that. I'm not mad at Cecil being controlling or deceitful or manipulative. Without that, the world would have been gone. So you know what? I stand by Cecil. I fuck with bro. All right, let's talk about one of my favorite / least favorite moments in this second half of season 2. And that is my boy Rex getting his brains blown out. Here's the thing. I did not realize that I liked Rexplosion as much as I do. Season 1, you can go back, watch my podcast, and hear me say it. I hated his ass. I thought he was so annoying. He was arrogant. He's really not that powerful. I didn't like anything about Rex. Now, I kind of fuck with him. I feel like he's matured a lot. He's turned into a whole different person. Like, I really like Rex, and I don't know when that change happened or when I started rocking with bro, but I realized I do. So when they put that gun to his head, I was like, oh, fuck, bro. It's over with for my dog Rex. Then they actually blew his brains out, and I was depressed. I think we all were. Maybe some of y'all still hate Rex, but I think we were all depressed. When my boy got back up and was scrapping with a hole in his brain, we are not gonna act like Rex ain't the GOAT. Rex is motherfucking him. And now he got his robot arm where he can get it popping with a big ass blast on it. Rex is the GOAT. I got hella respect for Rex. I think he's grown up a lot. I think he's way more mature than he was in season 1, which makes sense because they've been through a lot more. They're growing up. These were high schoolers at the beginning of this series. Now they're college students, but it's like, they all gonna be a little bit different. And I think that the writers of the show have done a very good job of giving everybody development as a character, so we're seeing them mature and grow and become new people, whether that's Rex getting more mature, whether that's Amber becoming more understanding, Mark grasping it. Well, Mark has a lot of trauma he's going through, but Mark grasping the responsibility of what it means to be invincible and being a Viltrumite and all those things. All these people who started off as immature high school students are now really becoming real heroes and real people. And Rex is one of the ones who I think have done it best, and I rock with Rex. I'm so glad he's alive. Producers, writers, if you guys are watching this, please do not kill my boy Rexplosion. I'm going to be depressed. Speaking of growth, shout out my girl Debbie. Debbie the GOAT. Debbie went through more shit than alright, let me chill out. She didn't go through more shit than anybody else, but Debbie went through a lot season 1. Her husband ended up being a mass murderer who beat the living shit out of their son. She found out the government was lying to him. Her son's a superhero. Oh, so many things happened to Debbie. Anyone else who got put in the situation that Debbie got put in would be absolutely devastated, just destroyed to the point where they can't even handle themselves no more. Debbie did have her moments of being super fucking down. She did. But she picked herself up by her bootstraps and was like, yo, I still gotta live life. Nolan is a dickhead. He fucked up the world. But yo, I still got my life to live. I can't let this shit be destroyed just because of Nolan. And I rock with that. I think Debbie is the absolute GOAT. And I'm proud of her for getting back on the horse. She about to go have a date with that date might be canceled after all the shit that happened. Well, we'll talk about that later. But I rock with Debbie. I think her growth as a character has been incredible. She is a very strong yet sensitive character. I think she is awesome. She was a good wife. She's a good mother to not just Mark, but also Oliver. She did not have to raise that boy. I'm telling you right now, if I was in Debbie's shoes and somebody came up to my door and was like, yo, your husband who left you and tried to destroy the world had another baby. Can you pick up the pieces and take care of him? I would have said, fuck no. Get that baby out my face. You get out my face. I don't want to see none of y'all ever again. Why would you ask me this dumb shit? Debbie, she was like, damn, this baby didn't do nothing wrong. This baby is Mark's brother. And I think a small part of it is Debbie, empty nest syndrome. At the end of the day, her son doesn't really need her the same way he used to. Not only is he getting older and he left the house, but he's also a fucking superhero. There's not much that can hurt him. There's a lot that can hurt him, but he's more invulnerable than the rest of us. So I think part of it was, she misses being a mom. Empty nest syndrome, that happens to a lot of people. It happened to my mom. It happens to most moms. So I think that Debbie is doing a really good thing, and she's doing things that not a lot of people could handle, not a lot of people could do, and I respect Big Deb. You the GOAT. Shout out Deb. Let's talk about this Viltrumite stuff with Alan, with the dude who ripped off his beard, with Nolan, with all that shit that's going on. Let's talk Viltrum. At the end of part 1 of season 2, Nolan got captured and said he was going to be executed. Here's the thing. Now, at the end of season 1, I had a good feeling that Nolan was going to come back to our side and help us fight Viltrum. But I didn't think that I would care about him as much as I do now, because I think that he has gone through a lot and he is in the process of his redemption arc, which I think is really fucking cool. So even though he's locked up and he should probably be executed for his crimes against Earth, I think it's a lot more beneficial to the story, to Mark, and to Earth for him to atone for the things that he did and help save Earth and all those other planets that Viltrum is taking over. Now I'm gonna be real, I don't know if he'll be able to do that, because if I'm being honest, I don't have a lot of faith in Nolan. I do think to an extent he is kind of incapable. He is kind of an idiot. All he does is go from place to place and create problems, and he doesn't really know how to fix them. He doesn't know how to be a good husband. He doesn't know how to be a good dad. He really doesn't know how to be a good superhero for real. I don't know how great Nolan's going to be, but I do think that for the story's sake, it is really good for him to go ahead, get redemption, atone, and fight for our side. Now, personally, I don't know how Earth's going to react when he pulls back up. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I do think that Cecil might let it rock, because Cecil isn't for all that feeling shit. Cecil is like, yo, this is what we need and we going to get it done. So if we need OMN Man, fuck it. Let him rock out with us. He might try to use OMN Man again. Who knows? Debbie, do I think she'll take him back? Boy, I pray she does not. If this man Nolan comes back to Earth and tries to win Debbie back and she folds, oh my God, I'm going to be so sad. All that work that the writers did to build Debbie up, and you know what I'm saying? Because Debbie is the GOAT. She's one of my favorite characters. So if she slides back, I'm going to be disappointed as hell. I will. I'll be very disappointed if she goes back to Nolan. Maybe they can be friends, but that's as far as I think I could handle their relationship going. If they got married again, I would be very confused and disappointed in Debbie. I would, unless the story makes me believe otherwise. Maybe he'll change his ways and become a good husband and will be worthy of her, but I don't see that happening. Shout out to my boy Alan for getting buff, hitting the gym. I've been doing the same, y'all. Y'all can't see through the hoodie, but I'm really buff for real. But shout out to Alan. He got big on him, and now he's strong enough to do what he needs to do versus the Viltrumites. He's finally going to be an asset in this fight. So if he has the power that we think he truly has, it'll be Mark, OMN Man, Alan, the Viltrumite with the beard, maybe Andisa? Probably not Andisa. But I think that's a pretty good... Nah, that's not. That's not enough at all. That's not gonna do shit. The Viltrumites have hundreds, if not thousands of soldiers. Them 5 ain't gonna get it done. Now, granted, Nolan is one of the strongest. Mark is probably also one of the strongest when he's not holding back. Alan will probably get folded by like 2-on-1. He getting smoked by Viltrumites. But I think we might be able to make a little something happen. Maybe. Also want to talk about that Viltrumite rule that Viltrumites have to be executed at their full power. That just goes to show how proud Viltrum is that even the people that do us wrong, we fuck with battle and we fuck with honor, and we are only going to kill you if you can stand by yourself at your fullest strength, and then we'll murk you. That's some real Viltrum shit if I ever heard it. Now, Andisa. I have a lot of thoughts about Andisa and what is going to happen with her in the story. I personally do think that there is a chance she can be brought over to our side. I don't know how probable it is, but I do think there's a chance that could happen, because Andisa genuinely does care about the lives of these lower life forms. She truly does. She wants to be helpful. She wants Mark to be helpful, and she has restraint. When she was fighting Mark, she could have killed him or really beat him into the ground. Now, she said, I'm not going to do it because that's not my job, but it looked like there was a glint in her eye that was saying, I'm not going to do it because I really don't want to. Even though she is extremely strong and she seems like she is thirsty for battle and really wants to fight, I do think that she is a loving, well, maybe not loving, but I do think that she is a compassionate character. And I think there's a chance she could be brought over to our side as she starts to see what humans are all about, what human life is like, and how that's going. I think there's a chance that she comes over to our side. Another thing that I think there's a chance of is maybe Mark and Andisa will get together. I've been seeing people on Twitter talking about how that might be a possibility. If her personality ends up coming out more, it might not be the worst idea for Mark to get with Andisa, because The reasons I said earlier in this video why he shouldn't be in a relationship is, one, he's a really bad boyfriend, and two, whoever is out on the field with him, he's going to be worried about them the entire time. Andisa is pretty fucking strong. There's not really much that's going to fuck with her. So it might make sense for Mark and Andisa to get together. Maybe, I don't know. Also, that old Viltrumite dude. I said this on my podcast and I'll say it again. Why the fuck did taking the bottom part of his beard off automatically mean he was a Viltrumite? He was like, check this out. And Alan was like, you're a Viltrumite. Do Viltrumites have special chins? Like, what the fuck did that mean? Just because he took his beard off, now I'm a Viltrumite. I don't know what that means. Now, one thing that my co-host said on my podcast is, OMN Man left those books behind. And those books have information on how to hurt Viltrumites. I was asking on my podcast, why would OMN Man even have those books if he rocked with Viltrum and had no plans of betraying him? My co-host said maybe OMN Man wasn't talking about the other Viltrumites, he was talking about that guy. He was talking about the guy that left the Viltrum army and was, an enemy of Viltrum. Maybe OMN Man was leaving secrets on how to beat him if Mark ever came across him. Now they're on the same team, so they won't be fighting him, maybe, but there is a chance that that's why OMN Man was doing that, because other than that, I really can't figure out why he would ever want to go against Viltrum. He didn't have any plans against going against them, so why would he have left those books behind? But shit, I don't know. All right, let's talk about the biggest, most important part of this second half of the season. Mark versus Angstrom Levy. This shit was fucking crazy. Here's what really shocked me about this whole fight, and I'm skipping to the end, but I'm gonna go back. At the beginning of season 2, they introduced Angstrom Levy, and I thought he was going to be the main villain of this entire season. When I didn't see him in the first half, I was like, oh shit, he's gonna be the main villain of the entire second half. And then at the third episode of the second half, I think that would be episode 7, right? I was thinking, all right, they must be setting him up to be the main villain for all of season 3. Hell no. He got cooked in just one episode. And that goes to show how good of a villain Angstrom Levy is. Because in one episode, he had fucking impact. The acting, the script, the everything. I was rocking with Angstrom Levy. Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed that he's cooked now. Maybe he's not, but I'm pretty sure he is. I'm kind of disappointed he's cooked because he was fucking great. His anger, his insanity, his power, everything about him was just fire to me. Like, if you know me, you know that I love a good villain. I think a superhero story is only as good as its antagonist. And Angstrom Levy was an incredible antagonist. He challenged Mark in so many different ways, whether that be physically, psychologically, philosophically, all those P's. He was challenging him like that. So I loved Angstrom Levy, and that whole scene was fantastic. He didn't even have to fight Mark to be a real threat. He was really just outsmarting him. Using his family as leverage instantly gave him a boost over Mark, because we all know Mark is probably the most powerful being on Earth at this given moment. Angstrom Levy knew he had to figure something out, because just them portals wasn't enough to do it. Because there was a point where Mark popped out that portal, said peekaboo, boom, and was really wrecking my dude. It was like, all right, that's how you want to play. I'ma just fuck up your family then, bro. Like, that's how it's gonna go. Using the family as leverage was fire. And that conversation that Angstrom Levy had with Debbie, when Debbie was like, I'm gonna be real with you, big bro. It seems like you're mad because my son's the hero and you're the villain here. And he started tweaking out. And oh my God, thank goodness Mark is a good guy in this world, because in them other versions that we saw, he was a fucking menace. Bruh, chopping off people's heads left and right like it was nothing, killing his wife, killing his son. First off, I don't know why he was tracking down Levy specifically, but he had beef with this man and was fucking bro up for real. But Debbie was really standing 10 toes with bruh. She was like, yo, I'm gonna protect my sons. I might not have powers and they both do, but I'm gonna still do what I can do to protect Mark. and Oliver. And she was willing to get her hand crunched for that. Oh my God, that shit was disgusting to see. Anytime I see someone's bones get broken, like their arm or their leg in a show, that shit just be making my stomach turn, because I know how much pain that shit has to be. And yes, they're not real people, but just the pain is insane. Of getting a bone broken, I've never had it happen, but I know that shit gotta hurt. But at the end, where Angstrom started to become a physical threat and was really beating the fuck out of Mark, and Mark turned the fuck up. And look, this is what we've been looking for from Mark ever since we found out how much he was holding back on Thraxon. I was waiting for him to really use his full power again, because he never does. He never uses it. Even when he was going up against the Sea Beast, whose life he didn't really care about, he's always holding back and getting cooked. He said, fuck all that. I'm done holding back. You're not going to hurt my fam. And he beat the living shit out of Angstrom Levy. And afterwards, he dropped the hardest bar I have ever heard. He beat the shit out of bro and said, I thought you were stronger. Do y'all understand just how powerful you have to be to beat somebody down and be like, my bad, dog. I thought you could handle that. I wasn't even trying to kill you, gang. And he admitted a part of him was trying to kill him, but he genuinely thought bro was stronger and fucked them up for it. That is a bar. I thought that was one of the hardest lines I've ever heard. And I didn't even see till afterwards that that's what the episode was named. The episode was named, I Thought You Were Stronger. That is such an impactful bar. I loved it. Part 2 of season 2 Invincible was absolutely incredible. I loved it. I think this show is one of the greatest cartoon shows of all time. One of them, I'm not going to say it's the greatest. It's probably like top 10 or something like that if I were to really sit down and think about it. Hopefully season 3 gets here soon, because I think season 1 came out back in like 2021, maybe even 2020 if I remember correctly. So hopefully we get it sooner. There were rumors that the reason they took a hiatus in between part 1 and part 2 of season 2 was to try to get ahead so season 3 doesn't take as long. And I hope that's true, because I do think it is a big hype killer when you have to wait a super long time for some shit you love. And I get it. I don't want to force animators to work extra hard like Mappa or any other shit like that. But to an extent, it does kill the hype when you wait too long to release a season. That's what makes people stop caring about shows, or you go find a show you like more, or sometimes people just go read the comics instead, which is perfectly fine, but it does kill the hype for the show, because some of those people never come back and watch the show again. Hopefully season 3 does come back soon, because I don't want to wait. I kind of do want to read the comic, and the reason why is apparently the show and the comic are written vastly differently. So by reading the comic, I won't really be spoiling the show that much, because apparently they are very different. I don't know how different, but people who read them both have told me that there have been massive character changes, massive plot changes, massive changes to everything. So I think I might go ahead, pick up the comic and see what that's hitting on. I am trying to catch up on a manga right now. I'm trying to catch up on Boruto. So once I catch up on Boruto, I might go ahead, tap into this. I'm not sure. But that's pretty much all I have for this review of the second half of season 2 of Invincible. Let me know what else you guys want to hear me talk about on this YouTube page. I'm be going a lot crazier, y'all know. And if you haven't done so already, like, share, comment, subscribe. Let's get this video to 25 likes. If we can get this to 25 likes, I'll be super happy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.